Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Sarima binti Isani. My metric number is 265183. Monetary policy in Malaysia regulated by the Bank Negara Malaysia, which involved in the money supply management and interest rate. This policy is to achieve the macroeconomic objectives such as inflation, consumption, growth, and liquidity. This policy also controls the money amount in the market, and in terms of the changes in the interest rate on loans or deposits depend on the economic condition. The fiscal policy is targeted at raising economic prosperity and resilience, maintain economic development, and enhance people welfare. This policy is to encourage sustained economic growth in the long run, as well as to balance the post-crisis macroeconomic crisis, such as enhanced spend and tax cuts to help improve the recovery economy.
This is gross domestic product in the third quarter of 2020 after a 17.1% contraction in the previous quarter and better than market forecast of a 3.2% contraction. Malaysia's economy shrank by 2.7% year-on-year, reflecting the negative effect of measures taken both globally and domestically to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Economic analysis. Inflation. Inflation is the normal and hot issue that we always hear from the economy development and become a problem to all countries in the world. The inflation doesn't affect the economy only, but also the individual. So based on the graph above, it shows an inflation rate in Malaysia for past 7 years with the starting year 2013 to 2019. Then inflation rate faced the decrement trend from year 2030 to 2019 with 2.1% to 0.7%. It shows the saver can get the better rate of return according to the decrement of inflation. The highest inflation rate that happened in past 7 years was at year 2017 with 3.9%. The highest inflation rate appears it is not good for the individual or economy because it can reduce the value of money and the saver get less chance to get the real rate of return. In year 2018, there happened the drastic changes of inflation rate in Malaysia with the difference 3% compared to year 2017. The Malaysian inflation rate is predicted to tend to grow, but they remain moderate in 2020.
The imported products to Malaysia are mostly electrical and electronic products, chemicals, petroleum products, and machinery, appliances, and parts. From the bar chart, we can see the lowest import was in May 2020. This is due to the COVID-19 crisis that has affected most business activities and demands. This bar chart represents the export from Malaysia to other countries such as Singapore, China, Europe, Japan, US, and Thailand. We can see the trend in 2020 was decreasing until May, and it increased unexpectedly in June 2020.
Let's continue to consumer index price. Based on the figure, the latest CPI result of Malaysia in February 2020 is same with the previous month, which is 122.4 index point. The average of CPI in Malaysia from 1972 to 2019 is 72.60 index point. Therefore, the increase in CPI in Malaysia shows that the cost of living is increased.
I represent the Nestle Malaysia Berhad. Nestle has been empowering the Malaysian citizen through its brand and product while upholding halal excellence and integrity. Here is SWOT analysis of Nestle. The strength is Nestle may be seen to be profoundly asserted to meet the diverse needs, and the weakness is most of the revenue rely on a few well-known items, and the opportunity is to provide a healthy breakfast product. The three is the beverage and food industry are instantly competitive and include a large range of independent. Next is competitive position. Yours Apollo Mars. Yours compete in the local and international food beverage industry. Apollo compete in investment and manufacturing holding. Mars compete in food industry and in top of the manufacture of confectionery product. Next one is the fundamental analysis. It shows that net income increased year by year. However, for the others, it's declined year by year, and it shows that total asset and total liabilities increased in 2018. However, it declined again in 2019, and the total equity is increase year by year. And for the liquidity ratio, it seems like it fluctuated. Profitability ratio, it shows that return on asset and equity is increased. However, the net profit margin is decreased. And for the activity ratio, it shows that asset and inventory decreased for 2019. However, for the account receivable, it increased. The debt to equity ratio shows that the company was satisfied in the debt financing. Common stock ratio of Nestle. The EPS is steadily increased year by year. However, for dividend per share shows that it increased 5 cents annually since 2019 until 2018. However, steadily at 2019 with 220 cents. The intrinsic value for 2020 is 44.06. However, for 2021 shows that 43.55. Shows we decide to buy the stock on 13 November because that is bullish signal, which suggests that the stock price is likely to experience upward momentum and indicate that the potential buy signal. On 3 December, we saw the stock price signal line above the MACD line. The RSI of Nestle is not in the overbought or oversold situation since it in the middle range on 3 December. RSI of Nestle on November is between the range 40 to 50 due to the increasing stock price. Moving average shows bullish signal, which indicate to investor to enhance purchase the stock because it have a good future prospect and worth to purchase. We buy Nestle stock on 24 November because we believe it have a good future prospect. And the last one is support and resistance. We can see the stock stop and begin to rise 3 times after trade when linked by a line. These three steadily expand in a support. A trader who detects this help could attempt to purchase the stock close to support. And that's all from my part. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Siti Sarah binti Shuhaimi and my matric number is 264409. I would like to present about TH Plantations Berhad. TH Plantations Berhad is engaged in the oil palm and rubber plantation business in Malaysia. In 1972, with the first estate Ladang Sungai Mengah covering 4,054 hectares that was first incorporated as Perbadanan Ladang-Ladang Tabung Haji Sdn Berhad. THP currently operates plantations and mills in the Peninsular Malaysia state of Johor, Pahang Negeri Sembilan and Terengganu as well as in the Sabah and Sarawak state. For the consumption of the Malaysian market, THP primarily produce fresh fruit bunches, palm kernel and crude palm oil. THP also progressed into rubber plantations besides oil palm plantations. This is the competitive position of TH Plantation Berhad, which is Sime Darby Plantation, Genting Plantation, Felda Global Venture Holdings. And this bar chart shows total asset, total liability, total equity, total revenue, operating income, gross profit and net income of TH Plantation Berhad. Based on the line chart above, TH Plantation Berhad recorded decline for current ratio and quick ratio from 2006 to 2017. Current ratios were above 1 from 2016 to 2017, but fell below 1 from 2018 to 2019. In 2019, quick ratio is less than 1. A good debt equity ratio is around 1 to 1.5. From 2016 to 2019, debt to equity ratio is keep increasing. In overall, due to the high percentage of debt in TH Plantation Berhad, the debt equity ratio is quite high. This is debt ratio based on the line graph above. The debt ratio THP is keep increasing from 2016 to 2019 but still less than 1. Based on the bar chart above, the net profit margin in 2016 is the highest among others, which recorded over 96.2%. However, the net profit margin of the company dropped to negative in 2018. And this is the ROA of THP. Generally, the percentage of ROA which is above 5% is considered a decent value. In 2016, the ROA ratio for THP was above 5%, which is 14.58%, and it means the ROA of the company is excellent. But starting 2017, the ROE dropped drastically to below 5% and even negative during 2018. This is the ROA. The In 2016, TH Plantation Berhad achieved highest ROE with 18%. However, the ROE starting to drop during 2017 and achieved the lowest ROE with negative 46.72% in 2018. This is the EPS. Based on the line chart above, it showed the EPS was fluctuated throughout this 4 years period. The EPS of the company dramatically dropped to negative 0.46 cent during 2018. However, the EPS moved upwards to negative 0.11 even though still negative. It means the profitability of TH Plantation Berhad expected to be better in year 2020. And this is the intrinsic value of TH Plantation Berhad. This is the technical analysis of THP. As for the MACD, when the blue line crosses above the red line, which is on early of October, trader is recommended to buy the stock of THP as it is a bullish signal. However, when the blue line crosses below the red line, which is in the mid of December, trader is recommended to sell the stock of THP as it is a bearish signal. This is RSI. It is noticed that the stock of THP has not crossed below 30 along September to mid of December. This shows that the price is still not too high and susceptible to a decline, while the RSI is above 70 on early and mid of September as well as in the mid of November. Thus, the stocks were in the overbought level and it is the signal to sell THP stock off. And this is moving average of THP. Investors will buy the stock of THP when its price crosses up and over the moving average during early November to the end of November. Investors will sell the stock of THP when its price crosses down and under the moving average during the end of September. And the last is support and resistance. Resistance level for THP is 0.6 and it acts to prevent the stock price to be rising further when the selling of stock is strong. On the other hand, the support level for THP is 0.51 and it acts to prevent the stock price to be falling further when the demand for stock is strong.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Shkilah binti Khairuddin and my matrix number is 264619. Mr. DIY is one of the home improvement retailer and right now become the largest of home improvement in Malaysia, according to more than 80 million customers yearly at all stores in Malaysia and Brunei. And according to SWOT analysis, the strength of Mr. DIY is Mr. DIY offer a many option of more than 60,600 types product of hardware, furnishing, electrical and household, and it made Mr. DIY become the leader of home improvement retailer in Malaysia. The weakness of Mr. DIY is Mr. DIY need to produce stock more than demand because of highly demand of customer and not all product from Mr. DIY have the best quality according to the lower price. While Mr. DIY have an opportunity by improving the quality of offering product and Mr. DIY could expand more outlet in the global market like in South Korea. The trick for Mr. DIY is Mr. DIY lack of expert manpower that can affect the Mr. DIY business compared to other retailer. Because when Mr. DIY have the expert manpower, they can improve more in the marketing and the quality of product. Fundamental analysis. This is the graph of total revenue, gross profit, operating income and net income for Mr. DIY Berhad. Overall, we can see that the company perform well, especially their total revenue keep increasing obviously per year. Meanwhile, gross profit, operating income and net income is increasing too, but little by little for each year. Okay, the next one is the graph of liquidity ratio. The current ratio for the company faced the increment trend from year 2017 to 2019 with 1.07% to 3.4%. This shows Mr. DIY has the great ability to pay short-term obligation within 1 year. The quick ratio and cash ratio also face the increment trend from year 2017 to 2019. And this shows the company don't have any problem to pay off the debt. The next one is profitability ratio for Mr. DIY Berhad. From the graph, we can see the return on asset of Mr. DIY face the increment trend from 2017 to 2019 with 0.22% to 0.7%. This means Mr. DIY have more efficient at managing its balance sheet to generate profit after 2017. Therefore, return on equity for past 3 years is unbalanced, meaning that the company has lacked the use of the equity financing to generate more profit. Meanwhile, Net profit margin faced the decrement from 0.117% in 2017 to 0.14% in 2019, which has recorded the lowest net margin in 3 years. This means that the company generates net income from the amount of revenue that is reduced from year to year. Technical analysis. According to the graph above, the blue line represents the moving average convergence divergence, while the red line represents the signal line from Mr. Dr. Berhad. So, from the start of the period, which is 11 December 2020, the MACD line is above the signal line, so the investor can buy the stock. But the line crossed the signal on 16 December 2020, indicating the investor selling. However, if we trade to buy under the signal line on the MACD line, we have to wait until we get our gain and then sell below the signal line again. Next, the graph shows the relative strength index of the Mr. Dr. Berhad from 18 November until 23 December 2020. From the graph above, we can see that on the 18 November until 20 December, there are the station where the line hit above the point of 69%. And starting 21st December 2020, the line are hitting below the point of 98% during the period.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Nur Nadia Syairah binti Nazri. Matrix number 264767. A Group is a Malaysian conglomerate listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia. It has consistently been ranked as one of the most successful major plantation owners, providing one of the highest oil yields in the industry. It consists of downstream operation and manufacture and selling of fatty acid, glycerin, soup noodles, and fatty esters. Next is the SWOT analysis of IOI Group. The strength is the development of agroscience and technologies, integrated market model, and operates in multi-stakeholder format. The weaknesses are the uncertainties, personnel limitation, pressure on rising operational costs and adverse weather conditions, and large amount of unsolved land disputes. Opportunities are the demand for palm oil, expansion to Indonesia, and developing demand for biofuels. And lastly, for the threats, fiscal downturn and global economic recession, competition between resource-based manufacturers, and unfavorable laws. Okay, these are some of the competitors of IOI Group. They are also the major companies in the plantation industry in Malaysia, which are Samdabi Berhad, Felda Global Ventures Holdings, and Genting Plantations. Next, we move to the fundamental analysis. The first graph is the revenues, expenses, and net income of IOI Group. As we can see, 2020 have the highest revenues and expenses, while for net income, 2018 have the highest value. For the assets, liabilities, and equity, 2017 was the highest for assets and liabilities, while 2019 was the highest for the total equity. For liquidity ratio, overall 2019 had the highest value both current ratio and quick ratio. This means in that year, IOI Group was able to cover their short-term obligations and have enough cash that could be utilized in other areas. Next is the leverage ratio. As we can see, there was a decreasing trend in debt to equity from 2017 to 2020, while for that ratio, the trend was constant over the years. As for profitability ratio, we can see the highest was in 2018 for net profit margin, return on assets, and return on equity. This indicates that in 2018, IOI Group was able to generate profit and value for the shareholders efficiently. Lastly, for the common stock ratio, 2018 recorded the highest EPS value of 48.7 cents and the lowest PE ratio of 9.32 cents. This means 2018 had attracted more investors to buy shares in IOI Group. Next is the intrinsic value. The average sales growth is negative 7.68%. Average NPM is 16.94%. Average payout ratio is 71.41%. And average PE ratio is 42.17%. This is the technical analysis of IOI Group where investors use to predict the future price movement. And we can see there was a buy signal around April 2020.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, my name is Nurfiza Syahda binti Abdul Aziz. My matric number is 264802. Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad is Malaysia-based investment holding company. It engaged in the provision of television services, radio services, film and others. The segment include television, radio and others. The other segment include the home shopping business. It offer over 180 television channel through its direct-to-home satellite television, internet protocol television, and over-the-top content platform, of which approximately 70 are Astro-branded and over 50 are in high definition. Next, the SWOT analysis for Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad. The strength Astro provide its client a wide spectrum of broadcasting services, while weakness, a process called rain or fade, the satellite appear to impact heavy rain or rainy days that will impact consumer interaction. Astro signal will most probably be disrupted. Opportunities in Indonesia and the Philippines. Astro Ride was the first regional over-the-top streaming app to be launched. The threat, digital automation of content consumption is a challenge to Astro in this simple digital information. There is three competitors of Astro Malaysia. First, Freeset, Now TV and YouView. This is the fundamental analysis for Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad. There is total asset, total liability, total equity, total revenue, operating income and gross profit and net income. All these graphs are fluctuated over the 4 years. The graph show that the current ratio for Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad are fluctuated from 2016 until 2019. Quick ratio for this company are also fluctuated since the quick ratio in 2019 until 2016 until 2019 are 0.91, 0.74, 0.84 and 0.77 respectively. For the debt ratio, it measures the extent of company's leverage. Based on the graph, it shows that the debt was increasing over the 3 years. However, on 2019, it went down because of some reason, while debt equity ratio showed that it was fluctuated over the 4 years. From the chart, the net profit margin for Astro in 2018 is the highest, which is 14%. That indicate the company is efficient in managing expenses and selling the product. While the lowest NPM is 2019, which is only 8%. That indicate how ability to turn its revenue, profit earned after operating costs and expenses have been paid. ROA show that the company has fluctuated over the 4 years. Based on the graph, the Astro has achieved the highest ROE in 2018, while the lowest ROE in 2019. For the earning per share, Astro Berhad has rose up over the past 3 years. It indicates each stock will receive the highest amount of money, while the lowest EPS of the company is 2019. This is the intrinsic value for Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad. Lastly, we will continue with technical analysis. We started the analysis from the middle of September until the middle of December. Moving to the MACD in this portfolio, it is based on 1226, which means that the differences between the 12 days moving average to determine the intersection of the curve with the MACD signal line generated from the 9 days moving average data. For the RSI, in the beginning of the analysis on 18 September, the RSI is below 70, which means that stock is oversold. As an investor, should think of buying the stock. Finally, the moving average represents that the movement or average was below the price at the beginning of the 20 days trading period. It showed that the stock was at the bullish point. However, at the middle of the December, the average line was above the current price, which bring the means of bearish signal. That's all from us. Thank you.